Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all. Welcome back to iSelf Academy YouTube channel and Excel Snippet YouTube channel again. We are using Excel Users Series 4.0 video number 5. In today's calculation, I'm trying to create a dynamic EMI calculations using a PMT function. Normally, when you use a PMT function, you may able to create only one EMI, that too on a constant interest rate and constant payment structure. If you want to know more about PMT function, I will add one video which I've recently added for the financial analysis series, where you can get that in the iCard above. And if you are new to this particular channel, please do subscribe and click the bell icon, which allows you to get all the new videos. This channel has a lot of videos, not just on Excel but also in Word, PowerPoint, Tableau, Power BI, etc. So let me show you what I'm trying to achieve here and how did I do that one by one. Again, this is a process I'm doing it, so I will show you how I'm building it one by one. Probably this video will be a little longer, and if you want to know more about it and if you want to learn more about it, take some more time. We will do it in under 10 minutes time. It will be a Spark shots. So the output that I want to achieve is this. So now I have an interest rate which is 10.55 is the starting part, and that will be increasing by 0.5% every annum. And then the number of years that the loan at the moment shows you a 10-year, you can reduce that to whatever number of years, and the loan amount that I'm getting is this, and the loans are increased either by 1 year here. So for example, if I reduce this, I've created a scroll button here. I can just reduce this so that you can see the number of line items are getting reduced automatically. So if I say a 3-year tenure, and then I'm saying that my first year tenure starts with 10.55%, and then that is getting incremented by 0.5% every year, then what will be my EMI that I pay for each and every month, and what will be the interest rate that will raise per month based on the calculations here. So if you closely watch, my incrementation of interest is going by 0.5%, and the year can be raised or reduced as you wish. When I add the number of years, automatically my line items are adding the EMI that I'm going to pay for the number of years, and how for the first year and the number of the last year that I mentioned in here will have a different impact on the list here. I just controlled it for 10 years only, not more than that. So I created a scroll button here. The scroll button, I just set the current value and the minimum and maximum value with the increment value with the cell references in it. So let's see how I'm going to build this data set. So I'm going to build this data set in a brand new sheet, and then I'll show everything. And I'm creating a lot of formulas here. The first formula that I've created is called PMT functionality. The second formula that I've created for the monthly interest rate is this. This is called index function. And the third rate that I've created again is called a sequence functionality here. So when I created a formula on sequence, I set the sequence function in such a way that the data set works for me on the sequence friends in this way. These are the three formulas that I've created on each and every line item. It will work on a helper based structure. So based on that, it works. And then you can see that I've built everything on the right hand side here, and I've built and I've done every aspects of the data set in a closer component for us. Let's see how to build this data first of all, and then how we can build this, and then how we can make this data formula work easily for us. So let me create a loan amount that's called 5 lakhs. So you can add whatever amount that you want to add here, and the tenure is going to be the number of years. I'm keeping everything in years here, so I'm going to call this with the minimum of 3 years here, so I'll say years. And the interest rate is going to be my next point. It is called 10.55% per annum. Now I want to increase the interest by 0.5%, and then I increase my tenure by 1 year. So this is percentage per annum, and then number of years I'm raising here. So what I'm about to do right now is I'm not trying to raise any of this interest rate by run through method, because when I go for a spin button in Excel, the spin button only allows you to get a whole number, not decimal numbers here. That's one disadvantage that I have here. That's why I am not using it. So I type the value here. I just showed you that the incremental that is going to happen. This I'm going to cover in my last formula called sequence, which allows me to get the incrementation happening for the number of line items here. And then I'm controlling only the tenures here. So based on the tenure, I'm going to work on it. So I'm going to create a spin button here. So how do I create a spin button here? I'll go back to my developer tab. If you don't have one, give a right click on any of the ribbon above, go to customize ribbon, and then activate or checkbox the developer tab here. Automatically you'll get the developer tab in your system. Once you get the developer tab, go back to your insert. Again, you cannot use a spin button on a particular point. So now I'm going to use a spin button based on the form control button. So I'll use the form control here. I'll use the spin button option here. I'll draw as small as possible. Draw it as a thicker one. Don't drag it bigger. Sometimes what happens is when you do this will invertly go. It will be a sleeping button for us. It won't be a raising button for us. So I'm going to give a right click here, and I'm going to go to the format control here, and then I'm going to set the value, and I'm going to choose the current value. My current value can be 3 here. So I'll start with the minimum period is 3. So I don't want to raise anything other than that, and the minimum value should also be 3 here. So it can be anything here, and then I'm going to go for 10 long years. I want to increment that, and then the cell link that I'm going to do right now is when I change it, my change cell has to happen here. And when I give an OK, that's going to give you the list. When I just click this data down, you can see that automatically it is adding the number of years. It can go until 10, and then when I reduce it, it will come down until 3. So the minimum year is 3 and the maximum year is 10 here. So now I want to create our first formula, and then I will create the other formula simultaneously. So the first formula that I'm going to create right now is I want to calculate the EMI for it. Normally when we create an EMI function, we will do a PMT function, we will clear the entire dimension here, but this time around I want to keep the EMI component better. So when I go to a normal EMI functionality, the first part is my rate of interest that I'm going to get into consideration here, and then the rate of interest is going to go little differently here. So for creating a rate of interest, because this rate of interest is going to change every year, so that's where our sequential formula will come into play. So when I go for my sequential formula, I set the sequential formula in such a way that how many years that I want this to go forward. First I'll select the list here, so I'll say sequence functionality here. Then I want to control this data dimension drop down by the number of years shown in the tenure. So the row column that I'm going to rows is going to be used by that tenure here. And once I get that, I'm going to give a comma. If you want to just fill in only one column, you can either say 1 here, or you can happily leave it. When I leave that, and then when I remove that, then it asks you a question. So how do you want to start it? Then I'm going to tell the system that I want to start the percentage by this. Then I'm going to give a comma, and then what is the step value that I want to raise here? I want to raise that by another percentage here. So when I close the bracket, and that's going to close my rate of interest here, and this rate of interest will come for the whole year. I want that for a month, then I divide that by 12. So that's going to give you a list, because normally we select one particular cell reference and then we divide it by 12. But here I am creating a running total or a sequential data set to do it. I'm going to give a comma. Then the number of years that I'm going to get is the same tenure again. Again, this is coming in years. I'm going to multiply that by 12 to get the months. I give a comma. Then I'm going to get the result here. If I don't want to get the result in a negative aspect, then I can add a minus in front of it, and then go and add the loan amount that I'm going to get, and close the bracket and give an enter. That's going to populate my list. Again, if you want to format this data a little bit, you can do it. Now at the moment my rate of interest is 10.55%, and then the number of tenure is 3 years. When I raise this 3 years to 4 years, you can see automatically my EMI will change, but the number of tenures will change, and I can go until 10 years here. After that it won't go, because my spin button says only 10 years, and then when I reduce it, you can come until 3 years here. Now let me make this data better. I'm going to select whole data, go back to my home tab, and then make that into an accounting format. That way I got the EMIs here. Now I want to know the what is the interest per annum. So I'm creating an interest rate here. Again, interest rate is going to increment here. For this, I'm going to use a sequence function. Again, I'm referring the cell references here because that way whatever changes that I do to the interest rate, that will change here automatically. So I'm going to again use sequence function here, and then the row that I want in here is again the logic that I used earlier, tenure. So whatever the EMI that comes into play, that my number of interest rate should also fall here. I don't want more here, so that's why I'm choosing the same tenure in this list. I'm going to give a comma, and then I'm going to leave the column as it is. I'm going to keep it, either I can write 1 here or I can just say comma here. That will make our data set a little better. Then I want to use the interest rate option here. So I'm going to, this is the interest rate that I want to add here. That's the starting point. Then I give a comma, and as we are not able to add the data set on numbers here, I'm raising by only a 0.5%. I'm going to add the step here called 0.005 here, and close the bracket and give an enter. That's going to populate my list. If you want to rename, or if you want to make this data set look like a percentage, then change this to a percentage from a drop down here. That way it gives you the decimal portion. If I select the percentage upfront here, it won't give you a decimal portion. So I need decimal portion here. That's why I'm taking the drop down and using this here. Now you got your percentage raised by 5%. Now I want to use one more dimension here called the monthly rate here. Again, the monthly rate, I literally broke my head for some time, and then later on I realized that we can use an index function in the sequence formula. What did I do right now is I choose the index function effectively here. So I want the number to come into play from the interest logic. So I'm going to just say equals index, and then I know the number of line item that's going to come into play in the interest. So I'm going to select this dimension here. When I do that, automatically the spill array function will activate in my index function, and I want the value to come as a monthly rate. So I'm going to divide that by 12. It's going to give you a monthly rate. Then I will add the sequence here. Again, the sequence function should go by the number of years that I add in my list here. So I choose the number of years as my row here, and then I double close the bracket and give an enter. That's going to populate my list. Again, if you want to keep the decimal portion to a minimal of 4 digits, you can just reduce it to a 4-digit number here, and you got the list. And when I raise it, automatically you can see the rest of the data set comes into play. Again, if you're going to raise this for 10 months, so select this 4, 5, 6, 7, and then I'm going to select this until number 12, and then make this into an accounting style first, and then make this into a 4 decimal portions here. So I think that I have 4 decimal portions here. Again, I want this to be also coming in that fashion. So this is all going to come for 10 rows here. So I just took one more extra, so I can change this percentage. Again, I think it is a percentage properly. So now we can get it. So now when I raise it, so that you can see the amount that I'm going to pay. Again, the number of years is raised here. So when I paid for 10 years the 5 lakh rupees loan, it will go for 6,760 per annum, or yeah, 6,760 per month for me, and the interest rate is going to be this. And if you want to add a percentage to it, you can happily add a percentage here, and then add the number of digits that you want to show. This is the monthly rate, this is the yearly rate for me, and then this is the EMI. If I reduce this to a 3-year or a other period, then I'll know how the incremental rate of interest can be built. So this is how I'll raise a multiple interest and multiple year PMT function using a sequence functionality. This is Vinod signing out from iSelf Academy and Excel Snippet YouTube channel, your Excel user series 4.0, video number 5. Happy analyzing.